I decided that maybe let me let him go for mission. Because he said he needed people who are already trained for handling of fire. So he could only take from the defense force, he could take from the police. But the next cohort, we have enough time to train them simply. So we can take a person, a young person.
4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Guys, how are you? As you are taking the shot, this is good for parade. No, now you can drink the shot.
Maritire lo mari. Elizali nepet istile debega malasa. Alno kan dia mareva tomoli amana.
Vamos a tirar esas pinches en WhatsApp. Yeah, WhatsApp. These pictures come in, they're going to give you the soft code for our one. After 10-15 minutes, also, when you profile our one, so that I want to take the accent.
Ufindi imene
anime kuti chanokechara vanhu zvinokuita zvavo that is too ndozvihamba zvese zvachenera
zvese zvoga zvaitanga kuti ngodova zvozozazozogana
ini nifuna vafunasisa zvekachifanyisa anoshumika kuti kamera yake ndo muva yangu kana nemangangi navangojiya vala vangangi zvikaima nembona ndikoniko
niambe nani
vambona ini chiona kuda
ndikundiva ndikonisa yedza
I've been tasked by protocol just to have some rearrangement here. Oh. You can move the chair on the line and bring the minister's chair just a little bit forward.
Where? Forward?
Yeah.
Oh, this one? Oh. Challenge with the podium.
Yeah.
If the minister is sitting here, then this would be a problem. We probably need to move back. The podium.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm now going to hand over to the Project Director of the day, Mr. Bondi. Over to you, Mr. Bondi.
Thank you very much. This is the one. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'm a little bit shaken because the event today marks another new dawn in the history of South Africa. Another milestone. But before we start, we will let's try and fix that so that when we start we don't have that challenge. Okay. Do you want me to move to the side? as well. The traditional leadership wholly in front of you to introduce the leadership of the Border Management Authority, but this is incubated at the Department of Home Affairs. It's been a long journey, but it is here. When the minister was sending these troops off at their sending off on Tuesday, he said, "We will be watching you." I'm sure he will remark again that also be representing councillors across the district and the local municipality.
Minister of Home Affairs, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi. Minister of Home Affairs, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi. The Deputy Minister, Mr. Ness, will be put to rest because of the porous borders. It puts to rest a possibility, Comrade Minister, that one day we might have a foreign minister or a foreign president who fraudulently obtained papers in this country. By so saying, Comrade Minister, we wish to commend and really support the work that you are doing to fix our borders and to fix home affairs. Going back to 2004 is a work that we really commend and we really support. We also want to say to the women and men in green in front of us that as they today are launched by yourself, make sure that this country is safe. At the back of your minds, always have this thing. If you don't do your job well, you and your colleagues in a coordinated form, we might have the scary reality of a foreign president in this country, which the minister is trying in all his power to make sure that we reverse that possibility. So feel free, you are here in Musina, the frontline municipality in the Republic of South Africa, going to the north. It's a warm place, but a tourism destination and a place we want to be safe. Feel very much welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Acting Executive Mayor of the district. You would have seen in the media, and I'm sure you've seen the media every day. We see it where we are at Home Affairs. we get insulted every day. Why are people crossing the borders without presenting themselves at the correct port of entries and so on and so on? That is what we are dealing with. But when the department tries to respond and South Africans respond, we are dubbed xenophobic. I think it is very critical that as we listen to the presentations today, we really begin to understand what is being xenophobic and to defend that which is rightfully yours, but importantly to say, as a country, like any other country in the world, there are laws that must be followed. You cannot, in this area, just set up a tuck shop here because you feel you have a right. There are other rights that control and manage this establishment. So is the country as well. It cannot be that we are in a country that has no laws. And I guess you will hear today that this is part of maintaining law and order in the country. I did not mention our dignitaries by name because that is the responsibility that has been assigned to the Commissioner of Border Management Authority, Dr. Mike Masiapato, who will then introduce and give the purpose for this gathering here today. Dr. Masiapato.
Good morning. Acknowledging the presence of the Minister of Home Affairs, who's also the chairperson of. Indeed, my responsibility in this, but secondly, to reflect into the reasons why we are here, the purpose for the day. So in terms of introducing the dignitaries, I had already introduced the Minister, who is in a way not needing much of an introduction, but suffice to say is accompanied by the Deputy Minister of the Department of Home Affairs. Mr. Njabulo Zuza is also here as part of the entourage. And by the way, he is also accompanied by Butorela, or Chief Mbangiseni Manager, in this particular event. It is very much important that in all of what we do indeed do it together with our traditional leadership, because it is very much critical that they are part of this journey as we do this work. The minister in the midst, and of course the minister is also accompanied by the Director General of the Department of Home Affairs, Mr. Tony Makolo is here, together with his leadership from the department as it were. And of course, part of the delegation also includes the members of the Musina local municipality, the council itself. They are also part of the entourage as it were. And of course, additional to the leadership of the Border Management Authority, retired David Lembe, together with the Deputy Commissioner for Corporate Services, Madam Jane Tupan. That effectively, I would say, is the entourage. I think you will also be aware that as we do this work of border management as the Border Management Authority, the Border Management Authority Act did indicate that we need to have an implementation protocol with the critical 3 organs of state, which are effectively to do the work collaboratively with us as we do this work. And on that basis, I want to indicate that part of the entourage is General Father Entourage representing the Chief of the Defense Force, as it were, accompanying the Minister in this particular session. And secondly, additional to that, we do have the General from the South African Police Services, and that is General Van der Walt. He is representing General Mawela,
General Masemola as the National Commissioner of the SAPS. And additional to that, as I've indicated, we do have Madam Bonam representing the Commissioner of the South African Revenue Services, part of the entourage accompanying the Minister. So at the end, that is in a way my rendering of the first item, which is the item of introducing the entourage that is accompanying the Minister in this particular session. And we do accept that part of the other leadership is out there dealing with other agents' matters, as it were. The second item that I have to be rendering is to reflect a bit, just a minute, in terms of why are we here. The Program Director, Mr. Boni Gwala, has already reflected a bit on the fact that we have, for 15 years as a country, started the journey of discussing the intention of integrating all our border management functions in the port of entry in particular, but also in making sure that we synchronize the work of the border guards on the vulnerable segments of the borderline. So I will say on that basis that that journey for now, it has reached a point where we are able to see something practical into that particular journey. But we are here primarily not necessarily to launch the Border Management Authority, because the Border Management Authority will be launched sometimes next year after the 1st of April, when the integration of this contingent, we effectively got almost 15,000 applications of South Africans wanting to be part of this particular contingent. But of course, based on the resources that we had, we were able only to take the 200, and this is the top 200 that have been selected after a Honorable Minister and the country that is going to be deployed in what we call the 6 vulnerable segments of our borderline. In this instance, there will be a team that is going to be deployed here in Musina in this particular segment, to Zimbabwe on the other side, and of course the other contingent will be on the other side to Mozambique. The other contingent will be going to Oshhoek, that is with our border to Swaziland, and the other team will be going to the border to Mozambique in northern KZN, that is around the Tamboya-Lingana area, as it were, around the border called Kosi Bay, as it were. And of course the last contingent will be going to our border Free State into Lesotho, that is at Masero Bridge, as well as Fixback, as it were. And that is effectively, I will say, the rationale why we are here, to be able to launch this particular contingent, and the rest of the deployment will then unfold after this particular event. Let me then conclude by indicating that we call the team the first 200 contingent, primarily because we have to then have the capacity increased as we go along. And we do believe that in the next financial year, we should be able to augment the team. And as we do that, we will be able to then take them to the other parts of the segment to make sure that indeed we start the journey of addressing the problem statement of South Africa's porous borders, as it were. But more importantly, working together with our colleagues as well as other organs of state, primarily being the South African National Defence Force, South African Police Services, as well as the South African Revenue Services. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the World Trade Center. In 1993, when Chris Hani was assassinated, somebody needed to stand up and call the elections. Not the government of the day at that particular time. Somebody needed to stand up and be bold enough and call the elections, with the support, of course, of everyone who was around him. And Madiba did that. The 1994 elections were never called by the government of the day. The blood of Chris Hani nurtured that call for the elections. Somebody needed to stand up. It was a politically turbulent time. 96, when we went to the local government elections for the first time. 94, the elections, and 96, we were all scared, and the Constitution. But certain men and women needed to stand up and say, this is enough. This this must happen now. And I want to say to you, Minister, and the team that is surrounding you, and everyone at the IMCC, and everyone really, that you have decided to stand up with the collective to say we need an end to being called all sorts of names. You see the relationship. Somebody will end here. It may not end today, but this must be the beginning of the end of all sorts of things that are wrong happening in this country. You would have seen earlier in the week, there was a report that was presented at the Portfolio Committee, and that report points to all sorts of things that are wrong in this country. Somebody needs to stand up and say, it ends here. And that process begins with this particular event and many more others. Before we move to the next item, we were hoping that we're going to have a slightly bigger screen so that we can catch a glimpse of the journey of BMA. But let's try and do that. If it doesn't work out for my dignitaries here, we'll see if we can tilt it just a little bit. If we can't, let's see if it becomes unbearable, then we'll stop it. It's only just 5 minutes before we move to the next item.
Our sovereignty, not for sale.
The Border Management Authority is South Africa's new civil authority for border management with a civil command and control. It was established on the 1st of April 2023. The BMA will become a standalone Schedule 3A entity. One of the key developments in the journey of the BMA is the first cohort of 200 border guards who will assume their positions in the identified vulnerable segments of the borderline. This marks a significant milestone in the implementation of the BMA.
The main function of the Border Management Authority, one, it is to facilitate the legitimate movement of persons in and out of South Africa, which is described as the border law enforcement area. But secondly, to facilitate and manage the legitimate movement of goods in and out of South Africa. Thirdly, is to actually cooperate with the three key organs of state, that is the South African Police Services, the South African Revenue Services, as well as the South African National Defence Force in discharging its mandate together with border communities.
South Africa's borders have been described as porous. That has the potential to undermine the
People from coming to South Africa. No. We went to the borders to insist without any apology, without fear or favor or prejudice, to insist that anybody in South Africa must respect the laws. They must come formally.
How will the deployment of these 200 foot soldiers complement the work of the SAPS and SANDF?
Section 4, subsection 2 of the Border Management Authority Act also explicitly indicates that the border law enforcement function within the border law enforcement area will exclusively be done by the employees of the accordingly. Similarly, if the border guards, for example, intercept a stolen vehicle on the vulnerable segments crossing to any of our neighboring countries, in that particular instance, again, the SAPS detect the border guards on the borderline will then be deployed on the vulnerable segments of the borderline, where you have ordinary civilians who are then compromising our laws, immigration laws and otherwise, and out of that be, for example, moving illicit goods in and out of the country. We've identified the Bongo, the Oshuk area, the northern KwaZulu-Natal area called Kosibeng, and the Masai
responded.
We had to, over and above some interactions, you had to take them through a physical assessment process so that you test their physical endurance, whether they would be able to, to enjoy the harshness of the environment out there where they would be heading to.
Before their deployment, their marching orders and a little bit of advice.
Remain patriotic and make sure that you discharge this responsibility with pride as South African, with the view that you cannot afford to compromise this country for any kind of personal enticement that can actually be brought to you. committed, even as they signed their commitment, they actually expressed that indeed they shall be doing so.
One of the things is the critical milestone towards the establishment of an independent civil authority for border management. Today marks a new chapter in securing borders for development. South Africa, here is the Border Management Authority, first cohort of 200 border guards.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I am honored and privileged to invite the Minister of Home Affairs, also the Chairperson of Inter-ministerial Coordinating Committee, together with his entourage, to inspect the parade as well as handing over of vehicles to border guards. The inspection of the parade.
So if you want to see the tracing of the flag, it should be this side.
Thank you very much, Minister. We are now going to have the reading of the oath of office of Border Guards by one of our Border Guards, Border Guard Tabete. Border Guard Tabete.
Oath of office for Border Guards. We, Border Management Border Guards, swear to uphold the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, 1996, as the supreme law of the country and the law. That we will discharge the border law enforcement functions with integrity, honesty, and to the best of our ability, in order to protect the sovereignty of the Republic of South Africa, as well as the safety of her people and resources. We further swear to serve with vigilance and excellence, and we will always have the courage to challenge any behavior that is ethically out of character, and hold ourselves and fellow border guards accountable for our actions. We take this oath freely and with no reservation. And passport.
Thank you, Brother Tabete. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm now going to hand it over again to Mr. BMA Border. Thank you.
much. I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen, but this evokes a deep sense of patriotism in me. Today it feels good to be an African, but it feels even greater to be a South African. The DG reminds us that it is a first since the dawn of democracy in 1994 that we experience something like this. You are indeed a part of history. The Minister will address now. The Deputy Minister, the Honorable Sinjabulu Nzuza, will introduce the Minister.
No, thank you very much, Program Director, Honorable Minister, who I'm going to introduce later, Senior Traditional Leader, Chief Manager Nda, Councillor Anderson Mdundu, Acting Executive Mayor for Vembe District Municipality, and your entire team that is present with us here today, Councillor Godfrey Mawela, the Mayor of Musina Local Municipality and your team, and the Home Affairs Director General, Mr. Tommy Makode, and the entire management team of the Department of Home Affairs, the Border Management Authority Commissioner, Dr. Mike Masiapato, and your entire team that has made us possible together here today, the councillors of Musina Local Municipality. We really appreciate your presence here today with us, and the inaugural members of the Border Guard who have gathered us here today. We normally say, Osingabo, you brought us here today as the inaugural members of the Border Guard, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are placing planning to action. We are advancing our war on illegal immigration. This is a huge milestone in our quest to secure the integrity of our border environment. We have over time operated a fragmented border management approach which compromises the integrity of our borders. The Border Management Authority will play a critical role in integrated and coordinated border management, dealing effectively with illegal immigration, as well as potential terrorist threats and porous borders which have been an outcry over time. It is fulfilling to see us reach this milestone of launching the BMA Border Guards. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the first detachment of women who are now entrusted with safeguarding our borders and securing sovereign integrity of South Africa. Today is a great day as we take a step towards protecting the sovereignty of our country. I am optimistic that the benefits of improved border management coordination and integration will soon be realized. I want to send a message to those who think that this is an academic exercise. They must think again. This first detachment is one of many to follow. It shows our seriousness and our commitment to making sure that each and every person who enters South Africa must do so within the duly designated borders of this country. And if you attempt to cross illegally into the country, Border Guards will be there, we will arrest you, we will deport you, and you will face the consequences, because we can no longer take caution enough on illegal immigration. We will continue to fight against illegal immigration. Now, without any further delays, let me introduce a man who needs no introduction, a statesman, a medical doctor by profession, a man who has led in various government institutions in South Africa, the former MEC for Education,
Transport, Agriculture, Land and Environment in Limpopo, the former Minister of Health in the Republic of South Africa, and the current Minister of Home Affairs, who has been a trailblazer in fighting against illegal immigration and all the shenanigans that have been happening in the immigration space. Honorable Minister, I can assure you that you are now hitting the right tones around issues of immigration. That you will see when people start to call you names, that indeed we are on track. Let me give you this opportunity to then address us on this audacious occasion. Honorable Minister.
Thank you. Program Director and Head of Communications in the Department of Home Affairs, Mr. Bongi Gwala, my colleague, Deputy Minister of Home Affairs, Ren Jabulun Zuza, Senior Traditional Leader, Chief Mbangeseni Manenche, Councillor Anderson Mdungu, Acting Executive Mayor of the Vembe District Municipality, and your team, Councillor Godfrey Mawela, Mayor of the Musina Local Municipality, and your team, the Director General of the Department of Home Affairs, Ms. Tomi Makode, and your team, the Commissioner of the Border Management Authority, Dr. Mike Masia Pato, and your two Deputy Commissioners, Mayor General Chilembe for Operations, and Major Ntubana for Corporate Services, and your team, the Mayor and Councillors of Musina Local Municipality, senior government officials, the inaugural members of the Border Guard, members of the media. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us today on this auspicious day as we seek to protect our sovereignty in the interest of the people of South Africa and the world. Fellow South Africans, here they are. They are the first cohort of young men and women who have undergone a rigorous selection process that included physical training and orientation, who will serve as members of the Border Guard. We are here today to officially deploy the Border Guard at the ports of entry and within the vulnerable segments of the borderline for law enforcement purposes. We are trying to build a better border management authority with this group of young men and women who heeded the call to serve in a manner that enables our country to pursue its policies in the interest of the people of South Africa and the world. Just last month, I told Parliament that the department is embracing new ways of doing things. And of course, many of them did not believe us. But today is another example of implementing this commitment, which we are definitely going to keep. A week to the day in 2020, President Cyril Ramaphosa said the following when signing the Border Management Authority Act
and I open quotes. The legislation therefore contributes to the security of the country and the integrity and ease of trade and general movement of persons and goods in and out of the country, close quotes. With those words, the President outlined what the Border Management Authority is all about. The Border Management Authority Act ushered in a new series of events that started out as a trickle before gathering momentum to be like the strong currents of the mighty Limpopo River, on whose banks we stand today. The trickle started with the appointment of the Commissioner and Deputy Commissioners in November last year, setting us on a path towards a single command and control environment in our ports of entry. The Commissioner and the Deputy Commissioners hit the ground running and started the recruitment process of these young men and young women who are our nation's pride today. Some of these recruits standing in front of you today come from the border towns and villages, like here in Musina. Parallel to the recruitment process, the commissioners are also busy with the work of ensuring that the Border Management Authority is a standalone Schedule 3A entity responsible for the borders by the 1st of April 2023. Maybe let me explain here. At the present moment, the Border Management Authority is a branch incubated in the Department of Home Affairs. The commissioner who is heading it, Dr. Masia Pato, has got the same status and is at the same level with the commissioner of the South African Police, but his job is here at the borders and nowhere else. He's the commissioner of borders. But by the 1st of April 2023, the Border Management Authority will move out of the Department of Home Affairs and be what is called a Schedule 3A entity, which is a standalone entity responsible for our borders. We as the Department of Home Affairs are just working as a midwife to bring this new child into the world. The new child will still be independent, taking responsibilities for the borders of our country. Now, this process I've just mentioned will see the number of border guards increase substantially as the Border Management Authority assumes responsibility of 5 streams of functions performed by various government departments at the border. Maybe let me explain further the attitude of the Border Management Authority. Usually, when there is a function to be performed, the President will appoint what is called an IMC, or Inter-ministerial committee, being a committee of ministers to perform that functions. Some interministerial committees are very temporary or ad hoc, just for that particular function. and they fade away. Others stay a little bit longer. Now we have got a new IMC in the country that is not appointed by the president, but is appointed by an act of parliament. It is the Inter-ministerial Committee on Borders. I'm sure you heard the program director who kept on saying, I'm now calling upon the chairperson of Inter-ministerial Committee on Borders, referring to me. Yes, I am chairing that committee in terms of the Border Management Authority Act. But there are 9 other ministers who sit in that committee, appointed by an act of parliament. It is the Minister of Defense, it is the Minister of Police, it is the Minister of State Security, it is the Minister of Transport, it is the Minister of Land Reform, of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, is the Minister of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment, is the Minister of Health, and is the Minister of Finance. These ministers I've mentioned, 10 of them, that includes the Minister of Home Affairs as the chair, constitute the Inter-ministerial Committee on Border Management, which is a permanent structure, and it is statutory, and it meets 4 times a year statutorily and as required. The Inter-ministerial Committee has already met twice this year in their statutory meetings, and this event we are launching here today was discussed thoroughly in that Inter-ministerial Committee about how the borders are going to be governed. If you listen carefully to the ministers I've mentioned, they all play a role at the borders. Many of you, commonly, when something wrong happens at the borders, they say, where is the Minister of Home Affairs? Because they believe the Minister of Home Affairs is responsible for everything happening at the borders. For instance, we are not responsible for customs. We do nothing about customs as Home Affairs. It's not our responsibility. It's the responsibility of SARS, which, as you know, report to the Minister of Treasury, to the Minister of Finance. It's not us in Home Affairs who know what goods must go through any port of entry and what goods are not allowed. It is SARS. Well, today they are on strike. They are not striking against me. They are striking against the SARS commissioner, and I'm sure he's able to solve that problem. When agricultural goods pass here, we know nothing in Home Affairs which agricultural goods are allowed and not allowed. The person who signed such commitments with her colleagues, either in SADC, AU or internationally under United Nations, is the Minister of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development. During COVID, anything that went wrong here on the health front, the Department of Home Affairs was blamed. My officials in Home Affairs don't know much about health. They don't know what disease is acceptable and which is not to be allowed in the country. It did not start with COVID. Even with Ebola, the people who were controlling, taking temperatures, allowing you in and out, accepting your certificate or rejecting it, are Port Health Authority. They fall under the Department of Health in a unit called Port Health. We don't know people who bring in pets, snakes and other types of animals which various people are interested in. When they bring them into this country, we don't know anything in Home Affairs which one is acceptable or not. We don't have training in that regard. It is the Ministry of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment who will do that job. When buses are given cross-border licenses to cross borders to convey goods and people, let me say people because goods is customs, convey people, taxis who are operating across the borders, it's not us who have given them a license to do so. We don't know how so. It is done by the Minister of Transport through the Cross-Border Management Authority, which is an entity under the Ministry of Transport. So you ought to understand that there are various ministries that are playing a role here, and they are going to be in charge of the Border Management Authority. It's not going to be the Minister of Home Affairs. The Minister of Home Affairs will just be chairing. Now, what is the difference then? The difference is that the commissioner and their deputy commissioner will be responsible for everyday operations at the border. But the policies will come from these respective departments. When the ministers sit, they will be coming up with policies. The Minister of Agriculture will say, no. If you want agriculture in the country to flourish, this is what you must do at the borders. And they will put up a policy. And the commissioner of the Border Management Authority will implement accordingly. The Minister of Fisheries, Forestry and Environment will tell us that in terms of fauna and flora, this is what is acceptable. In terms of climate change, this is what we agreed at the conference of the parties. And he or she put up a policy. And the commissioner of the Border Management Authority and his team will implement. I just wanted you to understand these functions in that way. Yes, I agree that the work that lies ahead is much more than what we have done already. And the numbers of border guards who are here are, of course, I had people commenting that they are not enough. Of course they are not. This is just but the beginning. There's a Chinese proverb that says, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. So today we are just taking the first steps. We are left with 999 miles still to cover. These border guards we are deploying today, they are a third uniformed statutory force in the country. You are used to seeing policemen and women in uniform, and they are a statutory force. You are also used to seeing the soldier in uniform with their guns, and it's a statutory force. Today, we are ushering in a new era. We are introducing to the country a third statutory force, which is also armed. Those guns, they are not toys. They can shoot, I can assure you. You can try them. They have registered as an armed statutory force in terms of the laws of the country. So they are not decorating themselves with the guns for the sake of the media. No. That is what they will be carrying in their everyday work, and I hope they don't have to shoot anybody. I hope and pray so. But those guys can shoot. Those guns can shoot. And I hope their most important weapon won't be the guns that they are carrying, but will be their integrity. And let me tell you, Border Guards, today, this morning, your integrity was severely questioned. I was listening to SAFM when I was coming here. People were phoning in, severely questioning your integrity. When I arrived here, that's why we started a bit late. I went there to that van there which is carrying SAFM. I said I want to speak. There was a driver there who passes here all the time, who was ridiculing you and saying we are clowning. Colonel Radzilan, I wish you were listening. That gentleman was telling the public that at the Big Brother post, we pass with our eyes closed because we just bribed the policemen and women. Colonel, are you listening? The gentleman said your policemen are easily bribable. He said he has been bribing them for more than a decade, going past here. And he said what you are doing today, we are clowning, because he's going to continue in the same way. In other words, he was publicly declaring that he's breaking the laws of the country and nothing matters. Because in South Africa, nothing matters. You can go in by reverse. You can do whatever you want. And so they were saying, even these border guards, he was saying, even them, I'm going to bribe them. So the onus lie on you. Whether as you standing there, you are toys or rascals that can easily be bribed. As Mr. Gwala was speaking, it means you will have lost your patriotic fever. There must be an exemplary way in which you behave that distinguish you from ordinary rascals who sell the country for a few pieces of silver. Ladies and gentlemen, South Africa is not for sale. I'll keep on repeating that. This country is not for sale. We have listened to you, Border Guards, taking an oath of office, swearing to uphold the Constitution. And the Constitution does not give rise to corruption. Corruption is done by human beings. It's not in the constitution of the country. And unfortunately, we are giving people an impression that this country is ripe for the taking. The deputy minister here spoke strongly against illegal immigration. On the 15th of June, at 10:30 in the night, I was called to rush over to OR Tambo International Airport, where some gentlemen from Pakistan were going illegally into the country and going in through passages that are made for fire hydrants. Now, that was not an illegal entry into South Africa. It was an invasion of the country. And we're supposed to fold our arms and smile. When your country is being invaded, there is no country anywhere in the world that will allow that. I'm surprised why people believe we must allow that type of a thing. It's not going to happen anymore in this country. What I saw there at the airport was an invasion. Yes. People were invading our country. For what purpose? I don't know. They know better why they should do that. Show me any country in the world where such a thing happened and those who are in charge kept quiet and smiled and welcomed it. For every time when we speak, they say we are being xenophobic. If fighting an invasion of one's country, if fighting people breaking the laws of one's country, if that is xenophobia, count me in. Count me in. If that is what you call xenophobia, count me in anytime. Two days ago, I had the honor of addressing these border guards in front of you in Pretoria during their passing out parade, symbolizing the completion of their training. Yes, they spent a whole month at Zonderwater Correctional Service Facility where they were being orientated, because all of them are already trained men and women. That's why I'm saying don't think those guns are decorations. They are trained, these people here, standing in front of you. And so the passing out parade at Zonderwater on Tuesday was orientation, where we called people from the army, the police, agriculture, forestry, environment, health, customs, etc., to speak to them. And so I took them into confidence about what it means to don a border guard uniform and the expectations of the public from our frontline protectors of our sovereignty. I'll repeat a few comments that I give to them. A border guard should be driven by an undying flame of national pride and the realization that every country has got its sovereignty that must be guarded at all costs. Secondly, I informed them, and I'm doing so again today, they are not being deployed at the borders to stop people from coming into South Africa. No, South Africa is welcoming. It's welcoming to people. But the border guards are there to insist, without any apology and without fear, favor and prejudice, that anybody entering South Africa must do so legally. If they happen to do so illegally, they must follow the precept of the United Nations Convention of 1951, of the United Nations Protocol on Refugees and Asylum Seekers of 1967, of the Organization of African Unity, now AU, Convention of 1969. All those conventions legally outline how people get into others' country, even those who are running away. It's outlined there. And in South Africa, we ratified those conventions in 1996. We could not have done so before because we were not a nation. We only became a nation in 1994 when Tata Nelson Mandela became the first democratically elected president of the country. In 1996, we ratified those conventions. And in 1998, we domesticated the convention via the Refugee Act of 1998. All those things outline what you do when you enter another person's country. We then have an Immigration Act of 2002. It outlines what you do when you visit a country, or when you go to work there, or when you go to study there, or when you go to open business there. They are outlined. The Refugee Act and the international conventions I've mentioned outline what you do when you are running away. All of them are regulated. So I'm not doing something that is new. here, when I demand that the laws of the country be respected. Anybody visiting South Africa must come in through the ports of entry, where they will announce themselves, give their biometrics, and give their reasons for coming to South Africa. That happens in every nation on earth. Why should we be expected to behave differently? We have 53 land ports of entry. Any one of them can be used to enter South Africa lawfully. And if you enter unlawfully because you are running away, I've outlined what the Act says. It says, yes, you can enter, but within 5 days, you must report yourself to the nearest refugee reception center. And we've got 5 of them in the country. We've got 1 here in Musina. We've got the biggest of them in Tshwane, the Desmond Tutu Refugee Reception Center. We've got 1 in Cape Town. We've got 1 in Quebec. We've got 1 in Itequini. And when you arrive there, they'll fingerprint you and record you that you are here in our country. And if you happen to be running away, they'll record that fact and start the process of what we do to people who are running away as asylum seekers. You don't just enter and go into hiding and people believe that is normal as you are being made to believe. No, man, it's not. It's not normal. It's not allowed by countries. Well, disbelieve that the country is up for the taking, and anybody wishing to do what they are unable to do in other countries can simply come to South Africa and do whatever it is that they wish. Those days must come to an end. And I want to state here unequivocally that they will never allow that to continue in our country. And people must disabuse themselves from the type of beliefs and practices that they are holding. Like this truck driver who was condemning us and believing we are here to joke. I'm challenging you. Allow what was happening to happen. You'll be out of the way. We don't play games in Home Affairs. I'm sure you have heard that we are arresting and charging and dismissing. Allow what that truck driver was claiming is going to do to you, and let's catch you. And I rushed to the radio to warn him that what he's saying has got consequences. There's a bus company that used to pass here carrying illegal people here in and out, and I think he has been doing that for a long time. Now we are saying enough is enough. The act is clear, only that some parts of the act will not be implemented. The law is clear that all conveyancers who convey people in and out of the country, if they carry an illegal person, we charge them 15,000 rand per illegal passenger, and they must take that passenger back. That's what we do at the airport. That's what we do at the airport. If any plane carries an illegal person into the country and we catch them, and we do, we will charge them 15,000 rand for every passenger, and they must fly them back home. Now I want to mention these things because people don't know them, they believe it's easy. For instance, we are being accused that we are only following up on poor Africans from the continent. We don't do so about people from other countries. The Pakistani and Bangladeshi who have arrested and the ones who have stopped at the airport, they are not from the African continent. They're not. But there's something I also want to explain to you. In 2010, South Africa hosted the first World Cup ever on the African continent. And many people believe it is just, it came and it's gone, it has passed and nothing. No, it left us with a legacy. We've got a unit in Pretoria called APP, Advanced Passenger Plan. That unit works for 24 hours. Any plane from any part of the world, from any city or town in any part of the world, before they depart, they must send the list of the passengers to the APP in Pretoria. And we go through it and check who is undesirable coming to our country. If we pick up any, we tell that aircraft that you can't bring this person. You can't. You can't fly to South Africa. If the airline flies them, when they arrive at the airport, we will charge that airline 15,000 rand and they will take that person back. So it's not easy to come in from Europe or from Asia or from South America or America to get into our airports illegally. It's not easy. We're going to catch you. It's easier to do so through the land ports and the land borderline. It's easier. And today we're trying to do something about it. But the blame that keeps on coming, that no, the Department of Home Affairs is doing nothing for people from other continents. It's not true. Just last week, a rich gentleman from Europe landed at one of our airports and demanded to enter South Africa. Illegally so. Why was it illegal? Because this gentleman once came to South Africa and overstayed. And it's not me, it's an act passed by members of parliament that says when you overstay in South Africa, when we catch you, we stamp your passport undesirable. You are undesirable, you won't be allowed to come to South Africa legally or illegally for the next 5 years. We won't allow you. And that is stamped in your passport. If you want a waiver, you want that illegality to be cancelled, the act says, not me, the act, it says you apply to the Minister of Home Affairs and give them reasons why him or her reasons why you overstayed. And if the minister agrees with you, he will waiver that undesirable status. What is this erstwhile gentleman from Europe do? No, he refused to apply because he thinks we are a Mickey-Mouse country. And then he came in. When immigration officials stopped him at the airport, he was shocked. Let me tell you what he said. He boastfully told them, he said, your minister is going to phone you and instruct you to allow me in. What chic? What chic? He said, yeah, your minister will phone me. They will allow me in. And indeed, they start pressing buttons all over of people who they think are powerful. And we were told by one of such powerful people that we must allow that gentleman in because he's worth 750 million rand. He's a millionaire. And we said, his millions has got nothing to do with us. They belong to him and his family and his children. They've got nothing to do with South Africans. And I told immigration officers, tell that millionaire South Africa is not for sale. Not for any amount. Yes, you can clap, it's not for sale. I'm repeating it many times. Not for any amount. Now this gentleman who had such cheek to talk about me, obviously he was thinking this is an African country. You just talk or you do something with the minister and they allow you to. That will never happen with me, never. We took him back to Europe as he came. And we stamped the pass again, undesirable. He can go and make his millions, it's undesirable here in our country. You will also recall that not long ago, there was a Lithuanian actress who came to South Africa without any permit and demanded to enter the country without any document, simply because she's from Lithuania. When she was refused entry, She then claimed that she's applying for asylum because there's a war in Ukraine. A person comes here without any document, and only after being refused entry, he remembers that there's a war somewhere in Ukraine. And of course, he was allowed to come in because the law is very clear. If you apply for asylum, go and report yourself at the nearest refugee reception center, and you must do so within 5 days. And of course, this lady did not go there. He actually attended a party in Cape Town. What chic? Again, because you believe this is a country that is up for the taking. After that party, she needed to go back home to Lithuania or wherever she came from. And of course, we had kept her passport. She then went to court, told us what many people like singing, that in South Africa everybody has got rights. She quoted a right of free movement, a right of what, and she went to court. And of course, the judge did not agree with her. And she had to ask for forgiveness. We made her write a statement to apologize to the people of South Africa. We made her pay for all the money we spent on her in court. And we declared in her passport that she's undesirable for the next 5 years. And after 5 years, she's not allowed in. She must apply and tell us why she did what she did. So we were seeing a number of people who believe you just come to South Africa, you don't need any law, you can instruct ministers, you can instruct immigration officials, you can do whatever. They believe that adherence to our laws is optional and only apply to some and not others. If we have given people that impression, today I'm announcing here today that please disabuse yourself. It was a wrong impression. If we also did it, we are doing wrong things and we are ready to correct them. So anybody who still believes they can just come and go as they wish without respecting the laws of the country, by parliament, they are very badly misinformed. The issue of coming to a country with a passport, it's not a South African law, it's an international law. It is an international law. So we're asking you, border guards, please execute your duties with pride, integrity, without fear and favor. We will support you at all times. And of course, we are going to watch you with a hawk's eye, because we understand that temptation can come with their jobs. All the border guards that are standing there in front of you, a lifestyle audit has already been conducted on them. Not is going to, it has already been done. So we know what assets they have, we know what they are worth. It means we have got the baseline. Before they got letters of employment, lifestyle audits were done. If anything changes, because we are going to frequently do the lifestyle audits, if anything changes, we are going to be able to detect it. You must be able to tell. So the employment of these border guards gives an opportunity of infusing a new culture at Home Affairs, a culture of serving with integrity, failing which there are repercussions. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, we won't be able to deploy the border guards everywhere and nowhere. We're not just going to throw them away and say, go, go. They go everywhere and nowhere. No. We have taken care to assess the borderline and identify areas that are vulnerable. The borderline in South Africa is 4,773 kilometers. I'm not counting the coastline, the sea, just the line, 4,770 kilometers. And we've divided it into 10 segments. Not all the segments are problematic. The biggest of this segment of 4,772 kilometers, the biggest is between South Africa and Botswana. It's 1,500 kilometers long. There are no problems there. So we're not going to deploy any of the border guards there to do what? We've never experienced any problem. If it starts, of course, we will act accordingly. The other big segment is 950 kilometers between us and Namibia. We've not experienced any problem there whatsoever. And so why should we deploy any border guard there? To do what? So we've identified 5 segments that are problematic, and most of them are to the east of the country. That will be the borderline around Bay Bridge here where we are, around Libombo, it's our border with Mozambique, Kosi Bay in KZN with Mozambique, and Maseru with Lesotho. Those are the segments where we'll deploy. The segment around Kosi Bay is the smallest, only 76 kilometers. But that's where stolen cars cross from South Africa into the rest of the continent. We want you to go and stop that. We are determined to make our borders less porous. I heard people over the radio say, yeah, no, you can't stop it. Even in America, it's not stopped. Yes. Yes, I know that. Even during the time of liberation, with the borders sealed by the strongest army on the continent, people were able to cross and go outside and train and come back and fight for liberation. So what are we trying to do? We are trying to say, even if people might still cross, it must not be as porous as it is now. There must be some semblance of normality, which people must know that I can be caught, and I can be sentenced, and I can be declared undesirable, and I can be locked up. So you are the chosen ones. We're starting this journey with you, and everybody will be looking at you to see whether it works. So the task of restoring and rebuilding the integrity of our borderline has fallen on your shoulders. Execute it with pride. And Commissioner Masiapato and your deputy commissioners, this is the end of the beginning. The real work of safeguarding our border starts in earnest today, and let's work on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. It doesn't get any clearer than this. It doesn't get any better than this. Well said. The Minister must tell you that, as we are talking, there is a war raging on social media. But rest assured, South Africans are supporting you, and Africans and everyone who is in this country legally are supporting you. In my previous life, I would be expected to read some engagements from across. I just want to read this one. It's on Twitter that says, hopefully they will be as patriotic as the Limpopo River crocodiles, talking about there are many others, of course, but there is a war raging. South Africans, peoples of the world who are here are supporting this, who are here legally and who are conducting legal business. But of course, there are those amongst us, some who grew up with, some understand the journey of the country, who have decided to join some people that we don't know from all over the world, who are coming here supported by big monies from wherever they come from. they are being joined by our own to insult, shout, and say all sorts of things and question even this very important moment. So beware of those. Beware of those. We are coming to an end, but before we do that, the Director General of the Department of Home Affairs is Mr. Tom McCoy, who will give us the vote of thanks. DG, over to you.
Thank you so much, Program Director Bongi Gwala. This is our introduction of Bongi Gwala as the Chief Director Communications to members of the media as well. To the Minister of Home Affairs, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi, Deputy Minister Njabulo Nzuza, Tobera, Bokosi Bumbangiseni Manager, Musanda Nda. I've been given quite a simple task to thank all of you. In particular, the Commissioner of the BMA, Dr. Mike Masiapato, the Deputy Commissioner, Major General Chilembe, Deputy Commissioner, Major Jane Tupana, that have made sure, including our HR colleagues that are sitting in the Marquee Minister, that have been going around the country to find us the finest of the first cohort of the Border Guards. To the Mayor of Musina, Councillor Godfrey Mawera, the Acting District Mayor of the Bembe Municipality, Dunungu, various councillors from the Musina municipalities, colleagues from other government departments, in particular colleagues from Port Health, colleagues from the SAPS, led by General van der Walt, colleagues from the South African National Defence Force, led by General Kamkam, and I wish to indicate, General, that in the Marquee, I saw earlier Colonel Nsieri, who's really been working hard to secure our borderline. So this first cohort of the Border Guards will join him. Colleagues from the South African SARS, the leadership of SARS led by Bonani Ntlanyelo and Mr. Laki Mulife, the Revenue Service, and other colleagues from agriculture that are with us, to the first cohort of the Border Guards that will be going to Skukuza, that will be going to Beitbridge, that will be at Libombo, Oshu, Kosipe, and Fixback. As the Minister said, the oath that you took in front of all South Africans, go and serve with pride, go and serve with integrity, and be ethical, as Border Guard Tabete indicated earlier on. Go and secure our borders for development. There are those ministers that abuse our generosity, that held insults at the minister, that are abusing us. And we would like to indicate that at some point that will need to come to an end. As the Minister has indicated, our sovereignty is not for sale. Neither is South Africa a public toilet where you don't need permission for anyone to enter. So it therefore strengthens our resolve, Minister, to even secure our borders, in particular for development. And we wish you well to the various destinations that have been outlined, in particular those problematic segments. We'd like you to travel safely to those destinations. Rialibua, Kialabua. Thank you so much to all the dignitaries and all those that came to join us to launch our first cohort of the Border Guards. Thank you, Program Director.
Thank you, Director General. Ladies and gentlemen, a final compliment in the form of a march past will now take place, and the salute is to be acknowledged by the Minister only. March past. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you very much. It sends shivers down one's spine, indeed. So what is going to happen now, ladies and gentlemen, is that the Minister, the Deputy Minister, the Commission, the Director General, the Commissioner, the Mayors and the horses will go in 10 vehicles, not all of them, to where they are going to be deployed, the first station. So we can lead the Minister to one of the cars. I don't know if it's ready. One of the vehicles. Perhaps we can just take the last ones. Let's see which one is coming around. This one. If the last car, the 3 last cars there, maybe we can just stop those last cars. Okay, let me ask.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are requested to arise when the Minister is leaving. You are requested to stay to rise, please. Oh, thanks. Oh,